So welcome to Tag Talks number 4. We're doing this one from the balcony outside my office today just because the weather's nice and I never use this, so glad to share that with you. So the first question today is from one of our NEGuard members who asked this: do you see the National Guard, Nebraska National Guard, playing increased role in civil support or state missions other than SURF-P or CST in the near future? And he indicated that there's many members in the NEGuard that would like to participate in those mission sets. So here's the answer. So 2012 was our last large-scale civil support to local authorities, and that was with a couple of large complex fires out in western Nebraska, and it primarily involved Army National Guard, but we had some NEGuard members out there too supporting comms, communication support to the local volunteer fire departments. That year we spent $5 million out of the Governor's Emergency Fund supporting that response. That's not all toward National Guard response, but pretty large scale response, something like 900 days, total cumulative days expended in that effort. And then the one before that, of course, was the 2000 epic flooding in the state along the Missouri and the Platte. So since then, we've only had 5 really events that have occurred in the state, a couple of tornadoes and some flooding events, which we participated in, but most of those events were, maybe 20 members of the National Guard. So the real message here is, yes, you will be involved when appropriate and when needed, and the really important thing about that is to be ready. So that means being physically, mentally ready to go do those kinds of missions and to be prepared to move out when you're called upon. So it'll change. It's all based on the needs and the event that we're being asked to support. So more to follow on that, I think, in future talks perhaps, but that's what you can expect. The second question today is, being a guardsman can mean balancing full-time work, family, guard drills, annual training, school, professional development, personal time, and just taking care of yourself. So recently, and how do I approach that? So recently I attended a 2-star development course. So I'm still learning, so I hope you are too, and still working on self-improvement, which should be a lifelong endeavor. But in that course, one of the senior leaders that was presenting talked about a structure to think about, and it's 2, 10, 5, and 7. So for him, that meant 2 hours a day devoted to fitness. Now that could be fitness of any kind. It could be physical fitness, mental fitness, spiritual fitness. In other words, taking time to take care of yourself. That is important. And then 10 was the amount of time you should dedicate, 10 hours a day, dedicate to work. And then 5 hours being out of work and not connected up on the net, for example, or maybe it's as simple as not thinking about work, which can be hard to do, especially as you move up in responsibilities and roles within the organization. And then the last number, 7, is number of hours of sleep. So for me, it's 8 hours of sleep. That's what I've discovered about myself, is that that's optimal for me to be at my best for you. And I think that's what this has to be all about, is are we at our best for the services that we're expected to render in our respective roles and responsibilities. The other thing that I know about myself, that I've learned about myself, not from that course, I've known this for a while, that if I want to do meaningful reading, in other words, I'm trying to learn and absorb, that I'm best at that in the early morning hours. So I often am up between 4:30 and 5:30. I wake up at some point, and if that's when I need to really concentrate and absorb, that's probably my best time. It's quiet, no interruptions, and that works best for me. But what I'd encourage all of you to do is to think about what's your 2, 10, 5, 7 like, and it may not be those exact numbers, and explore that and work on developing that balance. And My last thought about that is that 5 hours of not being connected into work, and is that no matter how long you serve, your family is the one that's going to be there at the end, and that's what you're going to return to more fully. And you ought to think about that as you continue in your career in the service to your state and nation. So from the balcony, it's been good sharing with you again. And they told me I can't tell you to send in your cards and letters because that's so last century. So you can send in your emails, text messages, or messages on our Facebook page. Look forward to our next encounter out here.